Welcome back to Capitol Update. I'm Matt Swenson. This is State Representative Kim Norton. Welcome, Kim.
Hi, Matt.
It's good to have you here, and it's good to have you folks tune in Rochester to hear what's happening here at the Capitol and hear what Representative Norton is doing on your behalf. And I know that you were just honored in Philadelphia for some work that you've done to make roads safer here in Minnesota.
Well, thank you, Matt. Yes, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration holds an annual Lifesaver Conference, and this year they honored the 4 states and the legislators that carried those bills in those states for passing primary. Actually, having 4 states pass in 1 year is a record. And so Wisconsin, our neighbor, passed, as well as Arkansas and Florida. So we were honored. It was a lovely celebration, and you know, it's nice to be recognized. You don't do this type of legislation for any sort of recognition. You do it to save lives, and I'm very pleased to say that the data coming from the Minnesota Department of Transportation and Public Safety departments are showing that indeed primary seatbelt is working, and we will have record low highway traffic deaths this year, which is really good news. That's why you carry this kind of legislation, to save lives. And it's a good reminder to folks back home to buckle up, because it is the law in Minnesota. In every seat, not just the front seat. Every seat, and I think that's important for folks to know. It is. I know you're working on passing a number of other laws here at the state capitol this session. Many of those bills authored by you. I know that one bill in particular that you've been working on since you came here is a bill regarding autism. It is. We have, as is true, the state of Minnesota, which has the highest incidence actually of autism in the country. It's somewhere around 1 in 100. I hear 1 in 72 in some populations, 1 out of 114 just generically. That's a very high incidence of autism, and those families often are turned down by their insurance companies for the services their children need. So we are working to change that. As currently happens when a family is turned down for insurance, they can come to the state, and the state provides them an insurance medical assistance through a program called TEFRA. So we are all paying for this service anyway, but we're saying it's not really right for families to have to purchase 2 insurance policies when they already had one that they were paying on. And so we've been working with the providers, with parents, and with the insurance companies for the last 2 years, trying to come up with some language we can all be comfortable with. We're close. Every little change has to be re-examined, and so I'm very hopeful that it will be in the Health and Human Service Omnibus Bill. It was last year. It just didn't make it through conference committee. I'm very hopeful this year we'll be able to help these families who have children that need some intensive services when they're very young, and by providing those early intervention services, we'll save the family, the state, and school districts money in the long run. And I know a number of the pieces of legislation you've worked on here at the Capitol over the last several years have focused on improving the lives of children. Another bill that you're working on for children is a bill called the Healthy Kids Bill. It is. I'm very pleased to have that in the K-12 Omnibus Bill this year. I'm hopeful that'll get off the floor before the end of session. But we do focus on improved quality of recess. We have asked the state to adopt the national standards. We've worked with them in the interim, and they're ready to do that. We have a number of other components, like a school district could be designated as a healthy kids school if they choose to provide students an appropriate amount of activity in their school week. And so I think the bill finally has a nice base of support. So I'm very hopeful you'll see that pass this year. And I know with your expertise on the school board, you do have a lot of interest in what's happening here in K-12 policy. And I know you're looking to eliminate some unnecessary mandates at this point that would save schools money. Certainly. We do have some a maintenance of effort clause that we're working on for the Rochester Public Schools, and there's interest in school districts statewide, as well as an interesting component of the governor's bill, which rather than mandating a particular number of days, as we currently do in law, we mandate as of a certain date whatever school districts had as the number of days their students went. That could never change. And this year the governor's proposing and the Department of Education is proposing that instead we look at student contact hours, and it would be the same for every school district in the state rather than having such variability. And our school district happens to provide one of the longest number of days for their students a year, and academically that's great, but in these tough budget times, by removing that mandate, we will allow the number of days in a school year to be part of the negotiations, and could be a really nice way for districts to be able to handle some of the loss of income they're having right now due to the tough economic times. So I think it's a nice possibility, and I'll keep my eye on that bill as it moves through the floor in the next 3 to 4 weeks. And you've gotten a lot of bills passed off the House floor already this session.
I think, is it 4 or 5, 6 bills that you've passed already?
We've got 4 or 5 off the House floor and another one due this week. So it's for a slow year, I've been moving some bills, which is very nice.
Well, very good news for your community and the state of Minnesota. A lot of work left to do. Thank you for being here.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you.
You bet. We'll see you next time on Capitol Update.